Hello everyone. This is the very first video on my channel. Uh, Channel that I started to begin to talk about apologetics and what it means for Christians. I wanted to get a video out on Christmas Eve. That didn't happen because of some uh, technology problems. Wanted to get one out on New Year's, but New Year's wasn't doable because the holidays, the turn of the holidays, it was just very chaotic around here. Um, but I'm finally up here now. I'm finally getting some videos going. We're gonna talk about a lot of things on this channel. But the overarching umbrella of the channel is apologetics. Hence the name, Jude 1:3 Apologetics. You might be wondering, well, what does Jude 1:3 have to do with it? 1 Peter 3:15 is the classic apologetics verse. That's the verse that everybody thinks of, right? you know, but sanctify the Lord God in your hearts, so on and so forth. But when we think about apologetics, I think about not only do I think about giving a reason, but I also think about a struggle. It is a constant labor for Christians to be a witness and to be studied in these things, because secularism is no longer confined to the libraries of academia. It pervades the very minds of every single person, because we have many people who were raised in a secular environment, both in school and in the home. And it's one of those many things that Christians have to deal with, adapt to in our culture. And there's been an explosion of apologetics resources lately. And so I'm looking to get into the workings of that. And one of the verses I thought about was Jude 1:3. And that's what I want to give a working meaning to on this channel is what does it mean to contend for the faith? The motto, if you will, of my channel is contending for the faith in a secular culture. The culture is very secular, and we are encouraged to contend for the faith. The author Jude tells us this. He tells the believers there, and it's applicable to us today. And in turn, we contending for our faith means understanding what we believe, and not only what we believe, but why we believe what we believe. And I would encourage, and I would argue too, why other people of disagreeing belief systems believe what they believe, and why they believe what they believe. I would argue that as well, because we as Christians need to understand how to witness to people. We are called to witness for the gospel, and right now that looks like responding to secular humanism, because that is what our culture has adopted. They've adopted postmodern thought. They've adopted secular humanism when it comes to philosophical a philosophical worldview. Um, and those things are very, very important for Christians to have a firm grasp on. We've already gone over understanding deeper, responding to skeptics. Um, I would not only argue that responding to skeptics is important, but also understanding that we as Christians we have things in our own Christian culture within the church. And I say the church, I don't mean a local church. I mean the big church, God's church, the whole church. We have things within the church that are they're not they're things that are people's opinions. Um and that's going to be something that we're going to talk about. I'm probably going to step on a lot of people's toes, but I understand that and I'm prepared for that. Um I have opinions on things. I have beliefs, I have opinions, I have convictions. One thing I notice a lot of people get confused is between opinion and doctrine. Some people think opinions are doctrines because this many people have believed them for this amount of time, and that's just not true. There's opinions on many things, but they're not doctrines just because they've been believed for a long time. Darwinian evolution has been believed for quite a while, and it is not a doctrine. It is not even true. And so, you know, there's many things within the church culture that we're going to talk about that they not only I believe not only they hinder the church, but they hinder us from bringing unbelievers in and expanding the church even more than we already are. And so that's one of the ways I want to develop this no sacred cows mindset, as they say. sacred cows being things we don't talk about. We'll think that's taboo. We don't talk about that. We can't talk about those things as Christians. We can't, there are things that we as in the Christian community, we don't talk about some things that we should. Um, and we're going to get into that a little bit later. We're going to get into those things. We're going to get into things that are controversial within Christianity, controversial within the world, really. We're going to get into talking about specifically the newer movement, progressive Christianity, which was really a resurgence of the social gospel. If anyone knows what the social gospel is, you're pretty much, if you know what that is, you pretty much know what progressive Christianity is. It's essentially the same thing under a different name. They emphasize many things that are unscriptural. They deny certain core doctrines of the faith, many things like that. And we're going to talk about those things and if they're biblical and if they're true. There's it, there may be some politics involved insofar as it pertains to what we're talking about. This is not a political channel. I'm not a political commentator. I'm not going to turn into that. But I'm going to draw in current events. I will draw in current events. I will be drawing on current events to give information on how we should respond to these things. There's many controversial issues that are current that we can talk about that will be discussed later in later videos. This is just a general video explaining what I want to do with this channel, what I'm going to do, what I'm planning to do, and with the Lord's help, what I am able to accomplish. And that is going to be the end of this first video. I know it's rather short, but we'll get there. We'll start some stuff eventually. And that will be all.